Hey bros, my name is Jay-Kess and welcome to another episode of FAQ Friday. This is a video series where I read your questions and pick a few to feature in the next video. You can leave your questions in the comments section, or you can message me on Facebook and Twitter. I found a question on Reddit that I would like to talk about. It comes from the HopDaddy32, and it says, what about a negotiator operator, an attacker that, if needed and alive, can extend the time of the round by some time, such as 30 seconds or longer, whatever the developers would decide on? It would be activated just like any other gadget. Now before I dive into my opinion, I want to summarize a lot of the responses on this Reddit. There were ideas like, this should be a gadget or skill activation, shouldn't just be you pressing a button to add 30 seconds, which I agree with. Maybe it's like a caviar-styled interrogation, which is similar to what Bazel says. The attacker, if they were to put the defender in down but not out, maybe they can give them ability to tie up the hostage. The timer would then freeze until the defender is either dead or released. And I like that idea, and I'm going to get back to that later. The Seagull responded, that actually sounds really cool. I could see some really funny moments occurring through this. This could also shake up the meta since now the attackers have to play defense as well as keep their round timer. I would be really interested to see how this could be implemented. I would also be very interested to see how this would be implemented. So let's dive into my view. Now I had a completely different idea before I called my brother. My bro and I have been playing and we like to bounce ideas off of each other, and an hour and a half later, this is what we came up with. The negotiator would be a 3-speed operator. He would have an epi gun with 3 shots, similar to Doc. And if he hits an enemy with this weapon, they are knocked prone, which is similar to the down but not out, and they are sedated, which is blurry vision, kind of like when you get hit with Echo's drone. And this sedation lasts 15 seconds. So when you are sedated, you have blurry vision, your character's outline disappears from the screen, so the teammates cannot see them, and then you get an option. You can press the F key, which is like the down but not out bleed out, and if you hold this F key, you get tunnel vision, so you can't see as much, but you do quicken the sedation time up to 3 seconds off. So instead of lasting 15 seconds, it lasts 12 seconds. And if you don't press the F key, you can crawl around on the ground, maybe try to get away, and you can see more clearly even though it's blurred vision, but there is a normal sedation time of 15 seconds. The reason why this is important is my brother argued that there should always be an option. You don't want to be just a hostage doing nothing, not able to get on cams because you're not dead. So we said at each stage, the person who's now the hostage operator, the sedated operator, should be able to have some sort of input in the gameplay. Now continue on. Once sedated, any attack operator can grab the hostage, like if you were prompted when you're grabbing the real hostage in a hostage situation. You grab the hostage, but the difference is the defender is now held up in front of the attacker like a body shield. And the attacker can now use their sidearm while moving with this body shield. And while held, the timer is paused. And while sedated, the defender's head is limp, which gives the attacker the visual cue that he is still sedated. But at the end of the 15 seconds, or the 13 if they're holding the F key, the head now becomes erect, which is the visual cue to the attacker that that defender is no longer sedated. And when the sedation is over, the defender has clear vision, and at any time can press the melee key to break free from the attacker operator, which initiates an animation where they now can resume full control of their character, unless a few things happen. Maybe the attacker just melees them and kills them right there on the spot, or if it's the initiator right there holding the character and hits them with the sedation gun, or maybe a distance hits them with a sedation gun, then they're sedated for another 15 seconds. And then, if they break free, run away around a corner or whip around and try to shoot the attacker. However, as long as the defender is being held, the timer is paused. So there's this give and take with the defender of how long they're going to want time to be paused in order to catch the attacker off guard with their breaking animation. So like Bazel's idea, this has an impact potential on the meta. For example, this negotiator would be an anti-roamer. So the defenders have to be more careful when they're flanking enemies or make sure that they're trading their kills. Another thing is it allows operators like Doc to become more valuable since they can heal at a distance. Pretty much if you see your teammate go down but not out, he says, hey, I'm sedated, you hit him real quick, it ends his sedation, he could possibly get up or even defend himself before the attacker comes and grabs him as a hostage. Now, with the meta, this can impact the attackers and defenders. For example, the attacker could bait out the anchors or even other roamers on the defense, which is pulling the resources from one side of the map, because while the defender is being held as a hostage, time stops. Now the question is it worth trying to regain this teammate? Possibly. Maybe you can regain the man count and shorten the time if you're able to rotate and get advantage of that. Now the defender has some options. You can call out to the teammate while being moved across the map, and if you have this first person camera, maybe you're able to say, hey, they're running a glass, they're running this, they're pushing from this side of the map. Now possibly if they're just standing in the corner to waste time, you can't do anything, so you just smash that F button, make the sedation end as short as possible. Now, here's the other thing you as a defender can do. You can choose when to break free from the attacker. Now, if you coordinate with the teammate to break free when they're pushing, you could allow the defender an attack opportunity during the grapple animation. So you say, we're coming around this corner, they're going to enter through the doorway. When we get there, I'm going to do my grapple animation. Then, because he's stuck in that animation, you can probably shoot the attacker. And this is why the attackers have to make sure that they're always sedating the guy, or being careful when he's not sedated anymore, how long they're going to keep him around. So it's this double-edged sword to kind of balance out the mechanic. Now the attackers have some options. You can hold the hostage operator in a corner so that time is paused as long as possible, which allows your teammates to organize. But the problem is, if you do that, you're pretty much taking a weapon out of the equation. He's now removed from the map. But maybe you can force the defenders to come and seek him out, which then moves their resources away. Now, if you're using the body shield, maybe you can push the objective. You have 3 epi shots, so the first one is probably to put him sedated, you pick him up, and then you have 2 more, which is a total of 30 seconds. So that means you can freeze time for 30 seconds while you're pushing with this body shield, which allows you to maybe push the objective and put them in a precarious situation where they don't necessarily want to kill their own teammate while trying to get you. So the big question is time. Is it really worth it to extend time rather than execute a fast attack with more utility? Well, let's look at some facts. Casual's 4 minutes long. Now rank is 3 minutes, and it used to be 4 minutes, but it got decreased so that there could be shorter rounds, make the execution of plays faster. And what this has done is it shifted the meta to 3-speed operators with more firepower. Now this is where possibly it could be worth having more time, especially in ranked. There is a possibility that this 3-speed negotiator would allow a slower meta team to attack the objective, especially if you're using like a Montaigne, a Blackbeard, a Glaz. You're using this combination of operators that don't have huge firepower, but they are able to go slower and push the objective. And if you have this negotiator holding this hostage, you're able to then freeze time up to 30 to 40 more seconds that allows your team to execute without feeling rushed. So my verdict is, while this operator idea has great potential, would it actually impact the meta? Well, as I've already stated, it depends on if it becomes viable to hold your hostage for a decent amount of time, slow down the attack. Well, also, would this operator get picked very often? I think only if it is a 3-speed operator, because who are you going to replace on your starting lineup with this guy? Maybe you give him smoke so that he's able to help Glass, especially since the number 2 picked operators Thatcher and Ash no longer have smokes to help Glass. And the third thing is, would this operator be too complicated? Is there too many moving components? Would it be too weird to try to figure out to make him work, to make the sedation work? Those are some of the things that could possibly be keeping this idea from ever happening. But that's it for today's FAQ Friday. Let me know what you think about what we discussed in today's video. Is this a viable option? I like the idea of the time element. Me and my bro came up with an idea to refine it, to make it a little bit more feasible. So let me know, do you like that idea that we presented? What could be tweaked about it? Is it even possible or should be possible for an operator to affect the gameplay timer? But as always, if you'd like to submit your questions for an upcoming episode, you can leave a comment or message me on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, peace.